All right. Hello, hello.
Hey.
I'm so excited to be here today. This is our pilot episode. This is Health Hustlers Happy Hour with Jackie and Jaclyn. And this is pilot. This is episode number 1. So
we're doing this.
Hello.
Hey.
We are 2 women who have full-time jobs, but also have part-time side hustles, I guess, plural. So we're starting another one with this podcast, I guess. But we're here to essentially tell you, bring you all on this journey with us as we're kind of stumbling our way into learning all the things. So we're both in the health and fitness space, and we're trying to learn marketing, creating new products, helping customers, clients, all the things, social media. So we're learning day by day, and we just wanted to start this podcast because we didn't really feel like there was a lot out there. There's a lot of great business coaches out there, but I think it's hard to go back in time from when you first started your business. And so we wanted to document that journey. So I think that's why we're here, right, Jaclyn?
Yes, we're diving in. You hear all the gurus say, just take action, and that's what we're doing. So yeah, it's our adventure. So we're both excited. I'm excited.
I know. I'm so glad we're here. We've been talking about this for a while. So yeah. It's exciting that this is launch day. This is the pilot. And so I think, next we wanted to just do some introductions, tell you all about our backgrounds. And so, Jaclyn, I'm going to let you kick it off with your background, and then I'll go with mine.
Great. Well, I am a work from home mom of 2. I've actually been working from home at my full-time job since 2016. So when COVID happened and everyone went home, it was kind of normal for me. But my passion, what I went to college for, what I love doing is marketing, and my full-time job is not in marketing. So, it pays the bills, and I'm appreciative of it, but, like I said, marketing is something I've always wanted to do. And so it's kind of become my side hustle little by little over the last few years. I've done some social media marketing stuff on the side and other types of things. So, but still haven't found a full-time gig doing marketing. So I'm kind of in this weird transitional space until I met Jackie. And now I really dug in and really, really enjoying that. My side hustle is really becoming something that I'm becoming very, very passionate about. So I'm excited to share what we're learning with other side hustling women. So
awesome. I love it. And we're going to tell you all our story about how we met right after this. So stay tuned. Yes. All right, I guess I'll dive in and tell you all about my background. So I am a habits coach, and my background, it's kind of interesting. I actually started out as a copywriter in my full-time job. I went to school for advertising, writing, journalism, and really loved the creativity of copywriting. And it's actually what kind of brought me to doing what I do now as a habits coach, because I got to, as I started working in the marketing space for bigger companies, there was lots of required research and tactics for being a copywriter to sell products. And so one of those spaces that I found myself dabbling in was what is called behavioral economics. And I actually started reading this books by this guy named Dan Ariely, and I actually now know him, and I've got to work with him, which is really cool. But he was kind of my first foray into behavioral science in general, and it's what inspired me to go back to school, get my master's degree in psychology, behavioral psychology, that is. And actually, I had the opportunity to then use that degree to reinvent my career at my current company, my full-time corporate job. And I love it. It's basically like behavior change in particular in the financial space. But what I love about behavioral science and psychology is that it's applicable to all facets of your life. And so what I found myself really craving was, I have this passion for health and fitness. I'll tell you my story some other time about how I really got passionate about health and fitness, but basically behavioral science kind of like started to morph into how can I help women with behavior change in the health space. And now it's gone a little bit broader with more just like habit formation and forming habits for general health and wellness. But this is kind of, so as I'm like doing some of this corporate stuff, I was like, I want more, I want a little bit more, and I want to be able to help women more on an individual level. And so that's why I ended up starting my business. And it's also what led me to meeting Jaclyn. So maybe we should start with telling our story of how we met, because I think it's a good segue.
Yeah, I think so too. And I hear Leo and Lady barking. My dog will probably bark any minute. So that's something you guys should probably expect. Yeah. But yeah, well, I can say how I met you, because I found you first. So I've struggled with just maintaining a pretty consistent healthy lifestyle, probably since I had my son, about like 10 years. And I came across one of Jackie's ads on Instagram, and she was talking about like the psychology behind habit building. And I was like, okay, that's because I love psychology. I'm very into it. I think psychology and marketing are very integrated. And I was like, this is it. This is what I need. So I reached out to Jackie, and we were talking in the DMs, and I was like, okay, I'm sold. And we started working together, and like everything you were saying, you just made everything so easy and gave me permission to just chill and just start small, which is something I'd never done before. I was always, trying all the things, the intermittent fasting and all the counting macros. And it was always so intimidating. And so to me, all the help that you had been giving me, we were probably a month and a half into it. And I was like, there's something so much bigger here. And so I remember saying that to you, like, do you realize like how much you have to offer? And, and that kind of got the ball rolling, I think. So you can take it from there.
Yeah, I mean, I have that recording actually, I think, when I use that on my Instagram, because it was like such a pivotal moment for me of like, it just felt like I was like, oh, I'm doing the right thing. I know that this is where I'm supposed to be. Yeah. So yeah, that's, Jaclyn was when because you just reached out to me in the DMs, and it was like, it wasn't really a sale. Like I didn't have to get on a sales call with you. It was like, you already kind of knew, and that's obviously the best type of client. And it was like reinforcing too, like, okay, whatever I'm putting out there, like it's doing a lot of the hard work for me of selling what it is I'm trying to offer. And so that felt really good too, because it never feels good to try to be like a super salesy person when you're having to talk to a new potential client. And so the more upfront, work that you pour into the education piece on your, social channels and your marketing, your emails, the better. Mm-hmm. So I was really excited about that. And right out of the gate, I just knew like, I don't know, like, I just feel like everything you took, like every time we talked, like you just started absorbing everything, applying it, doing it. Like you were such an easy client, I was like, she doesn't need me. I think that's one of the recordings. I was like, I don't think you need me. Like, I don't need you or you don't need me because like, you've got it. And, you reassured me like, hey, no, like I do need you. And you're the reason that I'm kind of, you're holding me accountable. But anyway, like I just feel like we kind of just hit it off right away. And then I think we started, I can't remember exactly what it was, but we just started hitting it off in terms of like realizing all these similarities in our lives. And it turned into, we use Boxer to communicate, which is like a voice messaging app. And our, like usually like a client, I'm messaging like 2 minutes, like sometimes it's a little longer, but me and Jaclyn's like, our boxers are like 15 minutes long most days because we just talk so much to each other about everything.
Yeah.
And so, and I feel like, and I'll let you talk about this next kind of phase too, because I think we got to a point with your health goals where you were making so much progress that it was kind of like, okay, what's next? And I think this is also too where I started realizing like I could just be more than a health habits coach. I could be a habits coach, like this is like a lifestyle. This is, it doesn't just end when you master like the basics of health. And so I think you started talking about, like happiness and what lights you up, or like trying to figure out like what other challenges can we add to your plate? Because if you're not challenged in life, then that's when it gets boring. And that's when actually all the other habits start to fall off, because you're like, okay, I have no purpose. I have no direction. Like, what's the point of doing all these healthy things if there's no, main direction in life, right? So I think for you, it was like that moment where you're like, I really want to do something with copywriting. Yeah. And so I think, and I'll let you talk about it, because I'm like, this is when I think everything changed for us.
Yes.
So.
Yep. I took a course on copywriting. I've loved copywriting for a long time. Well, I really didn't even really know what it was, to be honest. I knew I loved writing. I knew I loved communicating. I'm like super introverted. So I love communicating with people, even in my full-time job, communicating with people via email. And I loved writing captions for social media. And I seem to be pretty good at like connecting with other humans through words online. And so I did take a course, and it was pretty intense. And, being a full-time working mom, I had a really hard time fitting everything in. And after working with you for a few months and you helping me like systemize things and giving me permission to use Instacart and reminding me that I didn't have to do all the things, by myself, and, start, getting the kids to help, and all these little tips that you gave me, that it just cleared things up in my brain. And I was like, okay, like I have everything else in order, and I can start really putting the time in for the copywriting and marketing in general. And that's when it all clicked. And I think I started like telling you like, this can be more, and I can help you. And like, I'll be like the behind the scenes, the copywriting and the marketing, and you be the face of Habit Heroine. And like, let's take this to the next level. I can help you with it. And, so I think that's kind of where it took off. And there was somewhere in the middle, I remember being in my closet where sometimes I have to hide so that I can talk to you without interruption.
This is my favorite part.
And like, I was like, I think I have an idea. I think we should like move all these conversations from Voxer to a podcast, because I feel like there's so many other women that are doing the same thing we are, that we can like at least then bring them along on the journey. So yeah, I think that's kind of how we were born.
Yeah, it was how we were born.
Yeah.
It's funny because like, I think, and I don't know, I don't think we're alone, but I think you and I, when we talk to each other, we feel like we're alone in this, and that it's hard to find, I don't know, I live in San Diego, and I just feel like I have such a hard time like making female friends. And I feel like I've just been like that my whole life. And it's rare when I connect with someone so deeply. And I feel like Jaclyn and I just like, I don't know, like whatever that was, I was like, and then she brought to me this idea of like working with me on my emails. And actually, I remember I just got back from that Costa Rica retreat. And my friend Jung, who is the VP of operations at Shopify, was like, girl, you need to, like the way you're going to grow your business is like working with other people, like have them help you. Like you can't be a one-stop shop. And I was like, doing all this journaling, because they're making us do all this journaling on the retreat, and I got back and like it kind of just like was serendipitous, I guess, and that like approached me about it a little bit, and it was like this, I was like, yes, like of course, like this makes so much sense. And I think too, like I don't know, my husband thinks that I have a pretty good instinct about people. I have like very high standards for people because I'm very hard on myself, and that's like another day.
Yes.
But I'm very hard on myself. So I have like incredible standards for people. So I think in general, like I probably just give off a vibe to some people like, oh, she's a bitch. Like she's not very nice. So I think you and I, like, when I, like, it's like, when I know someone's going to show up and do the thing, and I could just hear the passion in your voice every day about what you were doing. And so it's been incredible. Like, and I get so many people now that are like talking about your emails. They're like, your email marketing is so good. And like, it's just the storytelling. And here's the thing, Jaclyn's like living this life that I'm like trying to, it's kind of going back to like why we're starting this podcast too. I'm like, where I started years and years ago, like on my health journey, it's so hard to dip into that, like go back in time and like relive those moments, those memories, those feelings, those emotions. Like you can kind of do it, but if you have somebody that like knows and is like living and breathing it in that moment, like, and I think you talk about this all the time, like let's get the words from the customers, like let's use their exact words to play it back to them, because that's what, you know, that's like the best way to communicate with them in that moment.
Yeah.
So
I remember saying like, I am your customer. I can speak to your customer because I am your, your client, your, client avatar, all the marketing's, terms. That's me. So you're like, yeah, that makes total sense. So
yeah. It's been awesome. It's been so good.
Yeah, it has. It's been, I mean, even just, setting business aside, just having, and that's why we started this, is because like, it's very isolating. Like working from home is isolating, and building a business is isolating, and it's scary. And, I just think it just makes it so much more fun when you have someone to do it with you. And so that's why we're here, so that, we can be that for other women. So,
yeah. And I mean, the isolation, that reminds me, I mean, I remember, I think like the pre-Costa Rica retreat where, before I went and like found my inner self or whatever, but I literally was feeling very alone. And I was, those low lows feel even lower when you don't really have somebody to talk to about them and like, help them talk. And it's very similar to, when like you or like, other clients I have that are like, I feel stuck. I feel not sure. Like, I feel like I fell off the wagon. Like I didn't, eat right this weekend. It's like the same feeling of like loneliness, in that sense of like, I had no one to troubleshoot with. And, generally speaking, because I have like, this idea of like, I've been like a single sport player my whole life, like I never really did well at sports where it was like team sports, which hopefully I've like become a better team player now. But
yes, you have.
I think in my mind, like I was like, I can only be successful if I can control every aspect of the situation. And so I felt like I could do this alone. And then that, talking to Jung, like on this retreat, like I was like, you know what, she's right. Like I can't do this alone. And as soon as you and I like kind of started taking off, I'm like, this is like, it took like, just, I don't know, it not only does it's like you're writing the emails, but it's like so much more than that. It's like just the ideas spawn, the creativity flows so much easier. Things just become a lot more, a lot less hard feeling, I guess. Like I just was like, it's like going from like walking through like quicksand and like thick mud to like, just like a light jog. Like, this is great. Like I can do this. And even in my low lows, like I just send you a message and we talk, like we both talk each other off cliffs all the time. So, so definitely.
Nice. We validate each other. We validate each other's ideas. And, I can remember, and we'll get into this, but we just finished a live launch and, I was like, oh, I'm so exhausted. And, and you're there to like, cheer me on and like, yep, this, let's just keep going and one foot in front of the other. And I mean, I've tried, I've had side hustles in the past and, I've just given up because I haven't had, my husband is very supportive, but it's just not the same, to have like a girlfriend be like, keep going. You got this, you know what you're doing. So yeah. Totally.
Yeah. The husband situation, it's like you can only talk at them for so long and before their eyes like turn into like lobster, like they're just like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah. It's so nice. yeah, our husbands make fun of us, by the way, like for our viewers, our listeners, like we're just always on Boxer with each other. And they're like, who is this person that you're talking to?
For a while, they were like, is Jackie, are they even real? Like, is this woman you're talking to even real? I'm like, yes, she's real. She's on Instagram.
She's fake, which is actually a thing now, apparently. So.
Exactly. That's what my husband's like. But no, I know. It's funny.
Yeah, it is. It's good. So yeah, so that's us in a nutshell. I mean, we'll share lots more details in coming episodes, but I think, like we said, we're just so excited to be here and share these moments. And I think encourage women too that are feeling like, kind of like isolated and alone in these side hustles, or, even if it's a full-time hustle, like, working together, especially with women, like it's so hard to, and we know this coming from a corporate job, like women in corporate are nasty, like higher ups, like they don't want to help you. At least that's been my experience. It's not true of everyone. Like I shouldn't say that's a blanket statement, but generally speaking, it can get really nasty. And so then it reinforces, if we're talking about like habit loops in psychology, it just reinforces that behavior within yourself. And then you become this like shell, you got to wear your like hard shell all the time and just kind of like push people away and feel like you have to truly do it alone. So I'm glad that we have this opportunity, right, to like kind of right those wrongs.
Yep. That's what we're here for.
Yeah. Well, I think that wraps it up for episode 1, right? Anything else you want to talk about?
I don't think so. I'm sure more will come out in the future, but no, I think that's a good intro for us.
Awesome. Yeah. And as Jaclyn alluded to, our next episode, we are going to talk about our first launch together. So stay tuned for that.
Definitely. Lots of goodies.
Yay.